everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, hello, my name is Taila. I am a second year Bachelor of Science student at the University of Melbourne, majoring in psychology, and I have just moved back into college here in Melbourne. I lived here for semester 1 and then I had to move out for the winter break, and I made videos of both of those kind of processes. If you haven't seen them already, go and check them out too. And now it is time for me to move in for semester 2. So I'm actually filming this quite delayed. It's been about 2 weeks. I've had just the craziest couple of weeks. I've been rehearsing for a musical that I'm in, as well as trying to move back into college. So you'll see in this video that my move-in process took me like a week. I'm still not completely set up and decorated. I was just doing little bits at a time during my breaks that I had from my rehearsals. But of course, I thought I'd make a video out of it. It will be my last move into college video as I'm moving out next year, but I thought that I'd give you a little bit of a story time before the video begins, because this video is not at all what I had planned. My whole past month of my life has not been what I had planned. I'd planned to go back to Sydney, where I'm from, to see my family and to stay with them for the winter break, and then I was going to be driving down and I was going to take you along with that. I had heaps of videos planned for while I was at home in Sydney. I was going to be pumping them out, but guess what happened? Of course, COVID hit Sydney and I had to change all of my plans. I was still able to go to New South Wales. We have a farm in regional New South Wales, so I was so lucky that I was still able to go home. And if you're not from Australia, then basically the issue is that the states like to close their borders. So I was fine to get into Sydney, but I wouldn't have been able to come back into Victoria if I'd been in Sydney. So at the time when I was going home, I could still go to my farm in regional New South Wales, and I was able to come back into Victoria freely without having to quarantine for the 2 weeks. So I went home and I didn't film any content, which was not what I had planned, but I think it was a good break, and I had lots of other stuff going on as well. So I'd planned to be there for 2 weeks. 1 week into my trip at home, things started to get worse, and I could just sense that Victoria was going to close the border to the entire of New South Wales, basically meaning that where I was at that time, if I'd stayed there, I wouldn't have been able to get back into Victoria without quarantining. I made a pretty quick decision to go to Canberra. My boyfriend Toby lives in Canberra. Again, if you're not from Australia, the ACT, where Canberra is kind of inside New South Wales, but it's a separate territory. So I decided to drive from my farm down to Canberra by myself and stay with Toby for the next week, because I thought that once I was in ACT, I'd be kind of safe. So I was there for one night, and then the next day, so basically my first full day in Canberra, at 5 p.m, I got a text from one of my friends who said, have a look at the news, and Victoria announced that they were shutting their border to all of New South Wales and all of the ACT, where I was in Canberra. So basically the situation in Sydney had gotten so bad that they didn't want anyone coming into Victoria. So what they do, again, if you're not from Australia, is they tend to give a little bit of notice. So they announced it at 5 p.m. and they said you have until midnight tonight to get back in to Victoria, and then from then on you have to quarantine to get back in. I freaked out. I was first of all very lucky that I did have my car. Bringing my car down to Melbourne was one of those things that was just, everything fell into place very nicely. I wasn't planning to bring my car down to Victoria. There was nowhere for me to park my car here at college. A car spot came up, so I thought, why not? And I'm so glad, because if I didn't have a car, I would have been a bit stuck. So I rang my parents and I said, okay, I'm gonna have to drive to Victoria tonight. My dad, thank God, booked me a motel so I could focus on packing up all my stuff. So I had somewhere to stay for that night and for the next night. And I convinced Toby to come with me, even though he wasn't meant to come to Melbourne for another 2 weeks. I convinced him to pack up everything, like at least all of my stuff was in my suitcases. He had nothing packed. He chucked everything into a suitcase in about 10 minutes. I'm going to insert some footage, some raw footage of what was going on at that time. It's not the most flattering footage ever, but this is the reality. This is crazy. No, oh my God, I just see adrenaline. Okay, Dad has, thank God, Dad has booked us a motel. Got my $1 coffee from Coles Express, and we're gonna
hit the road.
So yeah, adrenaline was so high. It's one of those things, it was just like the complete unexpected, and I know it's happened to a lot of people before. It's actually happened to me before, but I guess on a lesser extent. Anyway, us Australians are pretty used to it by now. It still is just one of those things that you're never going to be prepared for. Toby was convinced to come with me on a road trip. We had no idea what we were doing. We couldn't move into college for another week. So basically we had 7 nights where we just had no idea where we were going to stay. But we had somewhere for the next 2 nights where we were like, okay, we can sort it out when we get into that, but for tonight we just need to get to this place. The place that we booked was about 10 minutes into the Victorian border. We decided to stay for dinner because we realised we weren't in that much of a rush. If we kind of composed ourselves for about half an hour, and then at 6:30 we hit the road, and I drove the entire way. Toby was meant to split the driving, but he was exhausted. He had a big day and obviously was not prepared to drive, so I drove the whole way. So we got to the border at 11 with an hour to spare, drove straight to the motel and crashed straight away. The next day we went and had to get tested. That was part of the requirement for entering Victoria. We didn't have to quarantine for the 2 weeks, but we did have to get tested and isolate until we received a negative result. So the next morning we went and got tested, sat in the queue forever because there were so many people who were like us. Then went home and back to the hotel, just slept. I slept all afternoon. Toby just watched movies, waiting for our negative result. Stayed the second night, and when we woke up the next morning, we'd received our negative result, so we were good to hit the road. We'd organised to stay the next night in Bendigo, which is a town in Victoria, with some of our friends. We were really lucky that a majority of our friends are from regional Victoria, so we knew that we had somewhere to stay. We also could have gone to a hotel or motel, but we weren't too keen on spending all of that money. We were just trying to avoid it as much as we could. So we went and stayed one night in Bendigo with all of my friends, and we all shared a motel room. And then we decided to go to another one of our friends' house in another regional town in Victoria. And we ended up staying at their house for 4 nights, I think. So we ended up spending a majority of the week there. And honestly, it was one of the best weeks, and it's so funny how those things just happen and they're spontaneous. Everything turned out fine. Melbourne went into lockdown, so we moved back into college when there was a lockdown going on, and we were in lockdown for 2 weeks. We've just got out of it a couple of days ago when I'm filming this, so timeline is really messy right now. Yeah, so we came straight into a lockdown because there were cases here in Melbourne. But yeah, I didn't film any of that because it was just so much going on, and the whole time I was thinking, I was like, I should be recording this, and I actually tried a couple of times, but I just knew that it would be all over the shop and it would be me just messing around. So that is where I've been for the past couple of weeks, and now I'm here. And we are out of lockdown and everything is good, and I've moved in and I'm back on the grind. I've got so many videos coming up in the next, I've planned until I think the end of September. I'm so excited. I've got so many videos. I think that's all I had to say. Thank you for listening if you did. I hope that was somewhat entertaining. It's also more so for me to remember what happened and how it all went down. It's just one of those things that perfectly paints the picture of what it's like living between states in a COVID world. And it's like one of the worst times to be living between New South Wales and Victoria, especially because they're always the ones that get caught up with COVID. A room tour will be coming soon in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. I'm so excited to show you guys everything. But on to the video. It's 3 o'clock. We've just made it to college and I went in and picked up my keys. Toe's here. Toe drove the second half of the trip. So we're just going around the back to the back of college to find my new car park, because I have my car here in Melbourne this semester. So we'll go and have like a little scavenger hunt in the car park and try and find my parking spot, and then start lugging everything to our rooms. Alright, found my spot in the car park, and we are kind of far away from the college gates, so we're gonna have to do a few trips to get all of our stuff inside. Toe's gonna actually check the number plate because I don't even know what my own number plate is. I spilt mustard on my shirt, my white shirt, So that's my achievement of the day. I just had a thought. Why didn't I move the car closer to the gate to bring all my stuff inside and then move it to my actual spot? Would have saved me a lot of distance. Alrighty, I got everything in from the car. This is all I have. And everything else is in these cupboards. So I'm going to unpack kind of my bag and stuff first, and just get rid of this stuff, and then I'll open up my cupboard. My tree is completely dead and it's so weird because there's so much light in here. When I moved in last time, this whole thing was green, so it's a bit weird, but good lighting, so can't complain. I've kind of unpacked most things from my handbag. I'm gonna leave all my clothes because I need to take everything out of this first before I can put my clothes in. Why are you packing up your suitcase? Hasn't anybody told you? For those who haven't seen my move out video, this is where everything in my So I'm just going to work through getting everything out of there. My tactic, not my tactic, but I'm just aiming to be more minimal this semester and just kind of have less stuff on display and out, and just hopefully it makes it feel a bit more calm and decluttered. And I also am a messy person. In my room I leave things on the floor and stuff, so I feel like when it's already feeling a bit cluttered and then I'm in one of those periods of my week where I get really messy and start throwing things on the floor, it just all builds up. We'll see how it works, but yeah, I'm trying to keep as much stuff hidden away, put under the bed, put in boxes as I can. But don't you cry, Arizona. I never wanna see you that way. I'll be your milk carton, darling. Leave me cut up. Holy water could be better. Time to move on. Won't be us forever. Holy water could be better. Time to move on. Won't be us forever. Hi everybody, it is 4:30, so I'm making good progress considering I've only been here for an hour and a half. Made my bed, done my chair, put a few things here on my desk, done a couple of things in the bathroom. I'm just up to putting the kind of extension cords around so I can plug everything in, and then I still have just a few things in here, all of this stuff to work through. I am exhausted because I've been driving all day, but I want to get as much done as I can before my crazy week that I have coming up. So it's just one less thing kind of on my to-do list. You may think that Hello everybody, just quickly popping in. I've got a little break in my day of rehearsals, so I'm just unpacking all of my clothes from my suitcase. Okay, all of my clothes are away now, and I'm actually going to start moving this stuff and putting it all in its place. I haven't even really chatted about what I have in mind for my room, but it's a little bit different from what I had last time. I'd never really made a room tour from last semester just because I felt like it was never 100% what I wanted it to be. But I used to have all my photos up along this wall, but I think I'm actually gonna have a look at buying some posters instead and just keeping it really minimal on this wall, so this side just looks kind of a bit plainer. And then I'll put my photos maybe on my pinboard or on this wall. But yeah, it might take me a while to get my hands on some posters, but that is the plan for now. And I'm just gonna start putting all of this stuff away and tidy this desk area up.
Get sick of us. Hold up, simmer. Comfort queen, my squeezing night.
Toe is here to help. To help put the curtain lights on the wall. Camera down.
It's never too much, because when push comes to shove, girl, just trust.
Hello everybody. I am still in rehearsals, intense rehearsals, and I've just got kind of an hour break after lunch before we start again. So I've just gone through and cleaned up my room. Because I've been just like running around and haven't really spent much time in my room, I've been coming home and like getting changed, coming home as in coming back to my room and getting changed and then just dumping my clothes on the floor and leaving. So this whole floor was just full of clothes. But I've just cleaned all of that up. I didn't film it because it was obviously going to be really boring. And I've got about 20 minutes now, so I'm actually just going to go put my jewelry in their little bowls. I also love that I packed this much jewelry and brought that all home with me and did not open this container once the whole time. I still need to unpack these 2 boxes. I've also, all my other jewelry is somewhere buried in there. It's looking good so far. I really like how clean and minimal it is. So I'm very much leaning towards not having any photos up here and just having a couple of posters or something. But I need to start looking for some posters to put up there. I got my plant from the little nursery from Plant Holiday Care that they had going on here at college. They looked after my plant over the break. So I went and got my plant yesterday and didn't bring it back up to my room. So I don't know where it is. I'm gonna have to go and find it because I've left it somewhere. My plant is alive and thriving, probably more so than it was in my room. And I'm gonna bring that up and put that back where it belongs, over here.
Speaking my love language, love language, love language, when you spend your time.
Hi everybody, it is Sunday today. I finished rehearsals for the week and uni starts tomorrow, so I am going to entirely finish my room this afternoon. I don't really have that much more to do. I'm just going to put my jewelry back in its places, and then I'm going to put my photos up on my pinboard, and I'm also going to order some prints for my wall, and then we're basically done.
When I met you, I said I thought just wait.
I got my little plant back from the nursery. I think I mentioned that I left it there the other day, but Toby went and got that for me. I think she's looking better than she was when I left her, which would make sense because I don't take care of her very well. But I think I'm just going to put her here. I very much need that pop of green because this is so just drab. Hopefully the leaves grow back before I leave. Haha, get it? Because yeah, it's looking so gross and I miss the green leaves. Okay, it's time to transform this. I'm gonna get my photos out. I've stored them in that filing cabinet. I'll put you on a little time lapse.
That's the color you wore when I met you. I wear my heart on my sleeve.
just remembered something that I decided to do. I'm going to turn this into a bit of like a mood board kind of inspiration board. So on it I've got photos. I mean, I've barely started, but I'm going to put photos that kind of inspire me and make me happy, so that when I am sitting here studying, I'm not not getting distracted looking at photos, but photos that will kind of, I don't know, spark some inspiration. I'm not really sure. And then with the rest of the photos that I want to put up, I think I'm going to put them down here.
And this lonely winter's been colder. You have me wondering, is it over?
Oh my god, okay, that took me a while. It was actually exhausting, but ta-da! I'm missing 2 photos down there. 2 of the photos that I want to put up ripped, so I'm going to reprint them. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. And I didn't use heaps of photos, so I'm going to put these in put them away and put them in my albums. My keys and my student ID and my mask sitting on these little things, and then down here I'm going to put my stuff for uni. I went through this website called Society6 and picked out some posters that I liked, so I'm going to go through them again and probably order maybe 3. So 1, 2, 3.